Everyone saw the moment her life split in two, the moment a black CEO, draped in elegance and power, stood frozen while a white heiress lifted a cake meant for celebration and smashed it into her face. Cameras exploded. Guests gasped. The heiress laughed. And as frosting slid down her cheeks under the ballroom's golden lights, people whispered that she would swallow her pride, that she would sign the $4 billion deal anyway. What they didn't know, what no one knew, was that she had already decided that someone would pay for that humiliation. And the price would be billions. Before that night, she was a symbol of impossible success. A black woman who rose from poverty to become the CEO of one of the fastest-growing tech empires on the planet. Her brilliance turned failing companies into global leaders. Her innovations reshaped industries. Investors worshipped her. Competitors feared her. Young girls studied her every move. The gala marked the final step toward a historic partnership, a $4 billion merger with the Whitmore dynasty, a family whose wealth stretched across continents for generations. It would make history, her company's reach, their resources, and a future built by two giants. But not everyone in that dynasty welcomed her. The heiress, the granddaughter of the founder, had been raised in a world where power came without effort, where respect was automatic, where rooms always bent to her presence. The idea that this CEO, a woman who didn't come from wealth, commanded more attention infuriated her. Whispers followed the CEO throughout the night, subtle, poisonous, mocking. She ignored them. She had fought through worse. She focused on the deal, on the future, on her people. But the heiress wasn't done. She wanted to remind the room who she believed the real power belonged to. The ballroom shimmered with luxury. Crystal chandeliers, golden decor, photographers chasing every moment. The CEO walked through the crowd with quiet confidence. Investors congratulated her. Journalists waited for quotes. Cameras followed her every step. And every time admiration flowed toward her, the heiress's expression tightened. When the time came for the celebratory cake, a towering masterpiece designed for photo ops, the crowd circled. The CEO stood tall, ready for a symbolic moment of unity. But the heiress stepped forward with a smile sharpened by jealousy. In one swift, shocking motion, she lifted the cake and slammed it against the CEO's face. The room froze. Gasps rippled through the air like thunder. Phones rose instantly. Some stared in horror, others in amusement, and a few in dismissive indifference. The heiress laughed loudly, as though proving a point. Power meant humiliation without consequence. Icing dripped down the CEO's chin. Her dress was ruined. Her dignity in their eyes was supposed to be shattered. But she didn't flinch. She didn't wipe her face. She didn't say a word. She simply looked at the heiress, calm, unreadable, unmoving. The entire room felt that look. A cold, controlled quietness that made even the loudest whispers fade. Because beneath the silence, something was shifting. She walked out of the circle, slowly, gracefully, leaving the heiress grinning in confusion. To the crowd, it looked like she was retreating. But she wasn't. She was calculating. She was done giving people like that permission. What no one understood was that they hadn't humiliated a woman. They had awakened a storm in human form. She went straight to the private negotiation room where the $4 billion contract sat under soft lights, ready for signatures. Executives waited nearby, preparing statements, oblivious to the humiliation that had just unfolded. She looked at the documents, their years of work, the promises, the future they imagined together. Then, slowly, she closed the folder. Executives rushed in with forced smiles, eager to minimize the incident, insisting the heiress was playful, that it was a misunderstanding, that business must continue. But she didn't look at them. She didn't speak. She walked past them with a calm finality that shook every person in her path. Phones started buzzing. Board members panicked. The dynasty's leaders chased her through the hall, desperate to fix what they had broken. But she was already gone, her car pulling away from the mansion, leaving behind a dynasty that had just witnessed its own downfall. By dawn, the story had erupted worldwide. Not because of the cake, but because the CEO had officially terminated the $4 billion merger. Investors were stunned. Economists called it a catastrophic implosion. Stock values plummeted. Partnerships evaporated. The heiress's joke became a global symbol of entitlement. Her own board denounced her actions. The dynasty's reputation burned. Meanwhile, the CEO's company soared. She became a symbol of dignity, power, and unshakable self-respect. Her decisions sparked conversations about racism in corporate spaces, about respect, about knowing your worth even when billions are on the table. She never once mentioned the heiress publicly. Her silence was louder than any speech. Her dignity was worth more than $4 billion. And the world learned a brutal truth. When you try to shame someone who built themselves from nothing, you might just lose everything.